Some loves aren't written in sweet kisses or eternal promises, but carved slowly through the years every fall, and every time they find the strength to rise again. This is the story of Evelyn, the woman who thought she had lost everything, Nate, the man who lost and then rediscovered his courage, and Lily, the little girl who taught her parents what a true family really means. They didn't come together through perfection, but through the mending of their cracks, through the steadfast presence of one another, day after day. A new family was written quiet, unpretentious, steady as a heartbeat, and warm as dawn's first light. The late afternoon sun of Los Angeles spilled over the road leading into Beverly Hills, a golden glow shimmering across rows of tall, straight palms. A sleek black SUV stopped at the gates of the Rosewood Hotel, the stage for a wedding that had captured the media's attention all week. Evelyn Carter drew a deep breath, her hand tightening on the steering wheel before she finally switched off the engine. In the back seat, Lily, her 7-year-old daughter with bright, sparkling eyes, pressed her face to the window, enthralled. "Mom, is that building a castle?" she asked, pointing at the glittering glass structure. Evelyn's smile was faint, almost wistful. "No, sweetheart. But today, it will feel like Aunt Amelia's castle." In her heart, though, it was anything but. To Evelyn, Beverly Hills had never been a place of welcome. It was a world of display and excess, where once she had wandered with a naive heart and left with empty hands. Returning with her daughter, she felt as if she were stepping back into a realm of memories she had never wanted to touch again. The car rolled to a complete stop. The doorman opened her door with a rehearsed smile. Evelyn stepped out, smoothing down her simple navy dress, formal enough, but carefully chosen not to draw attention. She wanted invisibility, just long enough to bring Lily to Amelia's wedding, fulfill the role of family, and slip away without a ripple. "Come on, Lily." Evelyn offered her hand. Her little girl hopped down, silver ballet flats sparkling beneath the sundae. "Mom, look, there's a red carpet." Lily squealed, pointing to the grand entrance, where a long crimson rug stretched toward glass doors, flanked by towering white floral columns. Evelyn swallowed hard. That red carpet wasn't for her. It was for Amelia Carter, the radiant bride of the week, and, for the groom, her chest tightened, Nate Westbrook. The name still echoed like an old aftershock inside her. She hadn't heard it spoken aloud in years, only glimpsed it in Forbes, in tech headlines, alongside photos of a young CEO who had built a billion-dollar software empire. He was New York's golden boy, the face of galas and conferences, and now he was Amelia's groom. "Mom, why are we staying here instead of Aunt Amelia's house?" Lily tilted her head curiously. Evelyn squeezed her daughter's hand. "Because she's busy today, love. It's easier for us here." She didn't tell the truth. Amelia's house had long stopped having a place for her, not for lack of space, but for pride. Inside the lobby, the world glittered crystal chandeliers, the hush of a live piano, expensive perfume mingled with fresh roses. Lily's eyes widened in wonder, like Alice stepping into a wonderland. Evelyn, however, searched for an exit. "Evelyn," the familiar voice sliced through the noise. A slim figure in an ivory bridal gown rushed forward. Amelia, her younger sister, with softly curled blonde hair, a radiant smile, and eyes that gleamed with control. "You're here, and this must be Lily." Amelia bent down to hug the little girl. "You've grown so much. You look just like, well, let me look at you again." Evelyn stiffened, hiding her reaction to the half-swallowed remark. Straightening, Amelia adjusted her veil. "Tonight's the rehearsal dinner. Make sure you bring Lily. I want everyone to see how united our family is." "Family?" Evelyn bit her lip, but only nodded. "We'll be there." As Amelia swept away, Evelyn exhaled, only to freeze at the sound of another voice behind her. "Evelyn." Her heart stuttered. She turned. Time stopped. Nate Westbrook stood there, charcoal suit molded to broad shoulders, tie loosened, hair slightly unruly, as if he had abandoned important meetings for this moment. He was taller than she remembered, his features sharper, more seasoned, eyes calm and bright except now, as they fixed on her. And then, on Lily. Evelyn instinctively stepped in front of her daughter. Nate. Her voice was hoarse, clipped. He looked at her for a long beat, lips pressed as if words weighed heavily but unspoken. At last, he gave a slight nod. "It's been a while." "Yes," she swallowed. "Congratulations. To you and Amelia." Something flickered in his gaze, but he said no more. Lily peeked from behind her mother. "Mom, who is he?" she whispered. Evelyn gripped her hand tighter. "Just an old friend, Lily. Let's go." She walked away, but she could still feel the pull of his eyes. She knew that was enough. He had seen, and perhaps he had realized. That evening, the rehearsal dinner unfolded in the hotel's garden, hundreds of tiny lights draped overhead, sparkling like an artificial sky. Guests mingled with champagne in hand, laughter and clinking glasses rising into the night. Evelyn wore a simple black dress, deliberately modest, deliberately forgettable. She held Lily's hand as they stepped into the opulent garden, hoping their presence would pass unnoticed. But that hope shattered the instant a high-pitched voice rang out, "Evelyn, there you are. Come, everyone's waiting to meet the bride's family." Amelia, shimmering in sequined silver, waved dramatically. Heads turned. Whispers followed. Evelyn forced a brittle smile and guided Lily forward. "This is my sister, Evelyn Carter," Amelia announced, pride laced with challenge. "And this is my niece, Lily, the sweetest little star in Los Angeles tonight." Polite laughter, a few compliments. Lily blushed, ducking her head. Evelyn kissed her forehead, whispering, "It's all right, love. Just smile a little." And then Nate. He appeared beside Amelia, hand resting lightly at the small of her back. His groom's mask was flawless, but it faltered when his gaze landed on Evelyn and Lily. That look brushed against Evelyn's spine like ice. Amelia chattered on, oblivious. Nate remained silent, his expression torn between the role he was meant to play and something buried deeper. And then, in the middle of raised glasses and toasts, Lily's clear voice broke through. "Mom, why does Uncle Nate look so much like me?" The air froze. Evelyn's breath stopped. She felt eyes flick toward her, curiosity sharpening like knives. She crouched, whispering through clenched teeth, "Lily, sweetheart, he's just Aunt Amelia's friend. Not what you think." The little girl blinked, confused, but nodded obediently. The damage, however, was done. Nate coughed, lifting his glass to hide his face, but his eyes never left Evelyn. Heavy, piercing, as though he had just stumbled across a missing piece of his life. Evelyn dodged his gaze through the rest of the evening, heart pounding. She could feel it. He was watching not her, but every movement, every expression of the child at her side. And she knew, soon, the truth would find its way out. Later that night, Evelyn led Lily back to their room. The hallways stretched quietly and endlessly. Just as she reached for her door, footsteps came behind her. "Evelyn." That voice again, deep, familiar, laden with the years between them. She turned. Nate stood there. No polished smile, no charming CEO composure. His eyes were raw, tense, as though he had touched the edge of the most incredible truth of his life. "The girl," he faltered, drew a breath. "Lily is mine, isn't she?" The words crashed through the corridor like a bell toll. Evelyn froze. Her hand instinctively tightened around Lily's. The little girl tilted her head, uncomprehending. Evelyn forced her voice steady. "Not now, not here." She pushed Lily gently into the room, then turned back to him. Nate's eyes clung to her, desperate, demanding. Her own brimmed with tears. "Yes, but you forfeited too much to claim the right to ask me that." The door closed between them. Inside, Lily climbed onto the bed, innocent smile intact. "Mum, will Uncle Nate read me a bedtime story?" Evelyn gathered her into her arms, burying her face in the sweet scent of her daughter's hair. Silent tears slipped down her cheeks, unspoken, unanswered. Outside, Nate remained rooted before the door, as if his entire world had just shifted in a single night. The next morning, Beverly Hills was drenched in sunlight. On the 12th floor balcony, Evelyn poured herself a cup of black coffee, hoping its bitterness would clear the fatigue of a sleepless night. Down below, sleek limousines rolled in and out of the rosewood driveway, ferrying the city's elite. Everything around her whispered the same truth. She was in a world that had never been hers. Inside, Lily sat cross-legged on the bed, crunching cereal while cartoons played on the TV. Her laughter rang out bright and carefree, blissfully unaware that the grown-up world had cracked open the night before. Evelyn's chest swelled with warmth and ache as she watched her daughter. A knock came at the door. Evelyn froze, hastily setting down her cup. "Lily, go play with your dolls in the bathroom for a bit, okay?" she said gently. The little girl nodded and slipped away. Evelyn took a deep breath and opened the door. Nate. His eyes were rimmed red, as if he hadn't slept. Gone was the polished CEO in tailored suits. He wore only a rolled-up shirt, his face stripped bare of pretense, so raw it unsettled her. "We need to talk," he said, voice low and firm, leaving no room for retreat. Evelyn glanced back, fearing Lily might overhear. Not here. They descended to the hotel cafe, choosing a quiet corner. Soft jazz floated in the background. Sunlight poured through tall windows, but the air was heavy between them. Nate leaned forward, arms crossed, gaze unyielding. "Evelyn, you don't need to say it. I already know. Lily is my daughter." Her lips pressed tight. She thought of denying it, but his eyes allowed no escape. He wasn't asking for confirmation. He was claiming certainty. "You don't have the right," she began. "I do." He cut her off, voice rising. "And I have the responsibility. God, Evelyn, why didn't you tell me? You let me walk blind all these years, while she grew up not knowing her father." His words were harsh, but beneath them trembled pain. Evelyn clasped her hands so tightly her nails dug into her skin. "You think it was easy?" Her voice quivered, sharp as glass. "You left, Nate. You chose your company, your empire, instead of me. I carried a child alone. I faced my family, the whispers, the judgment. And you," her throat tightened, "you disappeared." Tears shimmered in her eyes, though her words cut like steel. Nate fell silent. For once, he had no defense. Finally, his breath left him in a rasp. "I want to make it right. I want to be with Lily. Even if you can't forgive me." Her gaze pierced him. "Don't promise me anything. If you want to prove it with your actions. But I won't let Lily be broken. Not again." Nate nodded, his expression solemn. "I understand." At that moment, the elevator doors opened, and Lily came bounding out, holding a pastry box gifted by a staff member. "Mom, they gave me cake for free," she squealed, then froze when she spotted Nate. He softened instantly, kneeling to her level. "Hello, Lily. That cake looks delicious." The little girl hesitated, then held out the box. "Do you want to share it?" Evelyn's heart lurched. That innocent offer cut through every wall she had built. Nate's smile was gentle, his voice husky with emotion. "If you don't mind, I'd love to." Lily giggled and sat beside him, breaking the pastry in half and placing one piece in his hand. Evelyn watched from across the table, her chest trembling with dread and longing. Nate's fingers shook as he accepted it. He glanced at Evelyn, then turned to Lily. "You know, I was always terrible in the kitchen, but maybe, if you taught me, I could learn to bake." Lily laughed. "Really? Mom says girls are better cooks." "Then I'll need an excellent teacher," he teased with a wink. Evelyn bit her lip to hold back tears. A seed had been planted, one she could neither control nor uproot. Just then, Amelia appeared in the cafe, luminous in a crisp white dress. Her smile faltered when her eyes landed on the scene, her fiancé seated beside Lily, sharing cake, his face softened with tenderness. "What's going on here?" she asked, voice sharper than intended. The air tightened like a drawn bow. Evelyn sprang up, pulling Lily close. "Nothing. Just small talk." Amelia's gaze darted from Nate to her sister, suspicion flashing sharp as a blade. Nate said nothing, his hand clenched around pastry crumbs. In that instant, Evelyn knew. The truth was no longer contained. The storm had begun. That afternoon's family luncheon passed in uneasy politeness. Evelyn clung to excuses to retreat early with Lily, leaving Amelia and Nate in the cafe. Only when the elevator doors shut did Evelyn let herself breathe, lungs burning like she'd been trapped in a sealed room. "Mama, Lily mumbled around a bite of cake. Is Aunt Amelia mad at me? She looked sad. Evelyn stroked her hair with a forced smile. No, sweetheart. She's just nervous about the wedding. But in her gut, she knew better. Amelia's glance had not been worried. It had been a suspicion. Once Amelia suspected it, nothing could remain hidden. A private pre-wedding gathering filled one of the hotel's banquet rooms that evening. Evelyn lingered at the edge, a glass of water in hand, while Lily played with the children of cousins and relatives. The glow of golden chandeliers, the perfume of champagne, and the rustle of silk gowns all blurred into background noise. To her, the room felt less like a celebration than a battlefield. Nate entered late, dressed sharp, shaking hands, smiling on cue. Yet when his eyes swept across the crowd and found Evelyn, something inside her jolted. Just a flicker, but Amelia caught it. She drifted to Evelyn, her glass of wine tilting lazily. So, what were you and Nate talking about earlier? You two seemed rather close. Evelyn kept her voice even. Just catching up. Is that so? Amelia leaned in, her tone honeyed, her eyes icy. Funny thing, people say Lily looks a lot like you, but me, I see something else. The unfinished words cut sharper than any knife. Evelyn sipped her water, refusing to respond. Amelia's smile gleamed sweet, but her eyes glittered cold. I hope you're not hiding anything from me, sister. Tomorrow is the most important day of my life. Evelyn only nodded, though inside, dread churned. Night fell. The hotel hallways hushed. Evelyn tucked Lily into bed, kissed her forehead, and turned off the lights. Just as silence settled, a knock echoed at the door. She opened it. Nate, his face was taut, as though he had already lost everything. This can't drag on, he said plainly. Evelyn, I need the truth. I want to hear it from you. Lily, she's mine, isn't she? Evelyn turned toward the bed. Her daughter slept curled under the blanket, breathing softly. The sight cut her to the bone. Yes, she whispered. Lily is your daughter. Nate's eyes closed, his fist clenched, as if the ground had shifted beneath him. When he finally spoke, his voice broke. All these years, all those moments I missed. Does she know? No. And I'm not sure I want her to. Not yet, Evelyn said firmly. You can't just walk in and blow apart her world. She needs stability, not reckless adults. Nate bit down on his lip. I'm not reckless. Evelyn, I failed you once, but I won't run again. I'm not that frightened boy anymore. This time, I'll prove it. She met his gaze, unwavering. You can say that to me, but don't you dare give her hope unless you mean it. The silence between them was suffocating. At last, Nate stepped back, his voice low and steady. Tomorrow, I'll show you. He left. Evelyn shut the door, sagging against it, her body trembling. The next morning dawned in chaos. The hotel buzzed with florists, makeup artists, stylists rushing through hallways, the wedding looming. Evelyn led Lily through the lobby, her daughter's pink dress puffed around her as she skipped happily. Mom, Aunt Amelia's going to look like a princess today, right? Evelyn forced a smile. Yes, love. Across the lobby, Nate stood with the hotel manager, dressed in a flawless black suit, his expression tight. But the moment his eyes met Lily's, something in him melted, a pure softness that betrayed him completely. Amelia, standing at his side, saw it, her fingers clenched hard around her bouquet, and Evelyn knew. The storm had arrived. The afternoon before the wedding, the Rosewood Hotel buzzed like a hive. Hallways were crammed with staff rushing about, arms full of white roses, boxes of decorations, gold-embossed invitations, laughter, chatter, doors opening and closing. Every room glowed with noise and light, except for Evelyn's room on the 12th floor. There, silence lingered. She sat cross-legged on the carpet, Lily perched in front of her, curls spilling over small shoulders. With practiced fingers, Evelyn parted strands, weaving them into a long, neat braid. The faint scent of children's shampoo mingled with vanilla-scented candles, softening the air. I want this braid to look like Elsa's, Lily declared, eyes sparkling. Evelyn chuckled. Elsa? But doesn't Elsa usually wear her hair down? That's okay. I want the Mommy Elsa version, Lily giggled. Evelyn bent to kiss the crown of her daughter's head, fingers still moving with care. In that moment, the world outside the chaos, the storm, the memories seemed far away. Then came the knock. Evelyn's hands froze. "I'll get it." Lily jumped up, but Evelyn pulled her back. "No, sweetheart. Let me." Her heart quickened as she opened the door. Nate stood there, shirt sleeves rolled, collar open. No armor of wealth or glamour, just a man, tired yet more awake than she'd ever seen him. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, low enough to shield Lily. He inhaled deeply. "I need to talk. To both of you." Evelyn was about to refuse when Lily peeked out behind her. "Uncle Nate." A smile flickered across his face, unbidden. "Hello, Lily. Are you becoming a princess?" "Uh-huh. Mommy's braiding my hair." Lily tugged at Evelyn's hand. "Let him in, Mommy. I want to show him." Evelyn stood caught between instinct and her daughter's plea. At last, she stepped aside, just for a little while. Nate entered. The room was warm, golden in lamplight. He watched Evelyn resume her braid, his gaze fixed on the tender rhythm of her hands. "Sit," she murmured, not looking at him. "Don't hover like that." He obeyed, folding his hands, still drinking in the sight. Lily glanced at him slyly. "Do you know how to braid, Uncle Nate?" A laugh escaped him. "I've never tried." "Then I'll teach you." "Lily," Evelyn began, but stopped at the sparkle in her daughter's eyes. Nate nodded solemnly. "All right, but fair warning, I'm terrible at this." Evelyn moved aside, and he slid closer. His fingertips brushed Lily's curls as if handling something precious. "Not too tight," Lily instructed. "Got it," he murmured, fumbling as the silky strands slipped through his hands. "Why is this so hard?" Evelyn couldn't help it, she laughed. A sound bright and fragile, like glass bells. She covered her mouth, but he had already lifted his eyes, his expression lit by the rare sound. "You're holding her hair like a live grenade," she teased softly. "Feels about the same," he muttered back. Minutes later, the braid was complete crooked, with loose curls poking out like wild grass. Lily peered into the mirror and burst out laughing. "I look like a cat in the wind." Nate put on a grave face. "Excuse me, that's a brand new style. Windblown cat." This time, Evelyn laughed openly, Lily collapsing in giggles, and for one rare moment, the air grew light. When the laughter quieted, Lily ran to fetch her favorite storybook. She pressed it into Nate's hands. "Read to me. Mommy always does. I want to hear your voice." Evelyn stiffened. "Lily, don't bother. It's fine," Nate said gently, opening the book. He sat beside the bed, voice halting at first, then steadying into rhythm. He gave each character a different tone, earning bursts of laughter from Lily. Evelyn sat apart, watching in silence. For a heartbeat, it looked like a family. The dream she had once longed for, lost, and sworn she could never have again. Lily yawned, curling beneath the blanket. Her eyelids drooped, and soon she was asleep. Nate closed the book carefully, resting it on the nightstand. He lingered, eyes soft on the sleeping child, before gazing at Evelyn. Neither spoke. The silence brimmed with everything unsaid. She turned away first, steadying her voice. "You should go. Tomorrow will be long." He rose, pausing at the door. His voice was low, meant only for her. "Thank you for letting me be here tonight, even just for this." The door clicked shut. Evelyn stood frozen, staring at the space where he had been. Something inside her shifted beyond her control. That night, sleep eluded her. She lay beside Lily, listening to her daughter's steady breaths. Her mind replayed Nate's voice reading, his rare smile when Lily laughed, and then an old memory surfaced. He read a dry essay aloud in a college dorm, hamming it up until she'd laughed so hard she cried. Some things, she realized, never changed, which was why the ache cut so deep. She rolled over, watching Lily stir in her dreams. The little girl murmured something, then whispered one word, soft, fragile. "Daddy." Evelyn froze. The word pierced her chest like a blade. Lily had never used it before, not once. But tonight, Nate's presence had planted something in her dreams. Tears welled as Evelyn bent close and whispered, "I'm sorry, my love. I don't know if I should let you wish for this." At dawn, the hotel swarmed with preparations. Stylists, florists, and dressmakers bustled about, laughter and orders bouncing down every hall. Evelyn slipped Lily out to the quiet garden behind the hotel. They sat on a stone bench among lavender blossoms, swaying in the breeze. Lily plucked at a leaf, then said suddenly, "Mommy, I like Uncle Nate. He made my hair messy, but it was fun." Evelyn chuckled faintly. "Yes, he's clumsy. I think he would be a good dad." Her smile froze. The innocent words landed like thunder in her chest. "Sweetheart, that's—" she faltered, unable to shatter the light in her daughter's eyes. A voice broke the moment. "Good morning, Nate." He wore a pale blue shirt and simple khakis. Not the gleaming CEO, not the polished groom, just a man. Evelyn's breath caught, but Lily beamed. "Uncle Nate, sit with us." He joined them, glancing briefly at Evelyn before focusing on the child. "So, what did you dream about last night?" "I dreamed you braided my hair again, but this time it looked good." Lily giggled. "Then it must have been a dream," he replied dryly, and she laughed louder. Evelyn watched them, her heart twisting. She wanted to shield her daughter, to keep her safe from heartbreak. Yet seeing them together, she felt something inside her, something long, empty, beginning to fill. They walked the garden as a trio, Nate listening intently to Lily's tales of art class, her paintings, her friends. He didn't rush, didn't brush her off. He listened, really listened. When Lily darted ahead to chase a butterfly, Nate slowed beside Evelyn. His voice dropped, earnest. "Thank you for last night. It was more than I ever thought I'd have." Her fingers clenched in her coat sleeve. "Don't fool yourself. It was just one night, one fleeting moment." "I know." His voice was steady, resolute. "And I want more moments like that, but not to leave you alone with them this time." She turned, meeting his gaze. It wasn't the reckless boy who had once left her. It was a man who was scarred and flawed, but asked for a second chance. Her heart stumbled, and then Lily returned, carrying sprigs of lavender. "Mommy, this is for you. And Uncle Nate, too." She divided the flowers, handing one to each of them. Evelyn inhaled the sweet, soothing scent. Nate held his sprig like it was sacred, as if it were the most solemn promise of his life. And Evelyn knew something had shifted. Lily had opened the door of her heart, and when a child opens the door, can a mother lock it again? The wedding day approached, and the Rosewood Hotel pulsed with feverish energy. Corridors echoed with the clatter of heels, the shuffle of staff carrying roses, gowns, gilded invitations. Everything dazzled with grandeur, yet each heartbeat grew heavier inside Evelyn, dragging her down. That morning, Amelia swept into the fitting room, a retinue of stylists at her side. Her lips painted red, her face radiant, though her eyes flickered with unease. Evelyn lingered in the corner, watching as her sister twirled in her pristine wedding dress before the mirror. "Well, what do you think?" Amelia asked, still staring at her reflection. "You're beautiful," Evelyn said softly. "You've always been." Amelia arched a brow. "That sounds like a polite answer. Aren't you happy for me?" Evelyn swallowed hard. "Of course I am." But Amelia didn't look at her. Her gaze stayed fixed in the mirror, her voice dipping lower. Nate looks at Lily, strangely. Evelyn's chest constricted. "What do you mean?" "Like he sees something. More than he's allowed to." At last Amelia turned, her eyes locking with her sister's. "Tell me, Evelyn, is there something I should know?" The question cut like a blade. Evelyn's hands clenched at her skirt. She longed to speak, to unload the weight pressing on her chest, but fear sealed her lips. If she confessed, she would shatter Amelia's wedding. If she stayed silent, she betrayed her own heart. "There's nothing," she whispered at last. Amelia's stare lingered, probing deep. Then she gave a brittle laugh. "I must be imagining things. Tomorrow's too important to let thoughts like that run wild." She turned back to the mirror, slipping on her shoes. Evelyn's shoulders sagged, the burden heavier than ever. That afternoon, Nate found Evelyn alone in the garden. Roses bloomed, their fragrance thick in the mellow sunlight. He sat beside her without a word. "Tomorrow, everything changes," Evelyn murmured, eyes on the horizon. "Yes." His voice was low, steady. "That's why I can't stay silent anymore." Her head whipped around. "What are you planning?" "Nate, don't." "I have to," he said firmly. "Not just to you, to everyone. I can't stand looking Amelia in the eye at that altar when my heart belongs elsewhere." Her face drained of color. "You'll destroy her. You'll destroy my sister, my family, our name, everything." Nate leaned closer, voice rough with conviction. "I lost you once because I was a coward. I won't lose you again because of silence." Her tears brimmed. "And Lily, if you blow this apart, she'll be dragged into the storm. I've kept her safe all these years. You won't take her peace from her." He spoke slowly, deliberately. "I don't want to take anything from her. I want to give her more. A father, a real family." Evelyn bit her lip until she tasted blood. She felt herself being torn in two. That evening, the families gathered for a private dinner. Amelia sat beside Nate, her arm looped through his. Across the table, Evelyn and Lily occupied their own fragile island. Laughter rose, glasses clinked. A pianist played gently, but tension quivered like a drawn bow beneath it all. Amelia's smiles were too bright, her glances too sharp, constantly flicking toward Nate, Lily, and Evelyn. And Nate, his eyes kept straying to Lily, softening at every laugh, every word she spoke. Evelyn saw it. She knew Amelia saw it too. The truth they fought to bury was already surfacing. Amelia caught Evelyn's hand when the dinner ended, holding her back. Her voice dropped to a whisper in the dim light of the emptying room. "Tomorrow, I need only one thing. The truth. Don't let me walk down that aisle in a lie. Do you understand?" Evelyn froze, and in her sister's eyes, she saw a crack ready to break wide open. That night, Evelyn couldn't sleep. The tick of the hotel clock cut into her nerves. Lily lay curled on the bed, hugging her teddy bear, while Evelyn sat at the window, city lights painting her drawn face. Amelia's voice echoed, "Tomorrow, I need the truth." And then Nate's, "I won't stay silent." Both voices pulled her in opposite directions. If she spoke, Amelia would shatter. If she stayed silent, Lily would live in a lie. If Nate confessed, the world would explode. "Maybe I'll lose them both," she thought, clutching her head. Morning. The hotel transformed into a stage. White flowers blanketed the aisles, violins tuned, guests in jewels and silk filled the halls. Cameras flashed like lightning. In the bridal room, Amelia sat before the mirror in her finished gown, beauty so radiant it drew gasps. But Evelyn, standing behind her, saw what was missing. Her sister's eyes no longer carried light. "I couldn't sleep," Amelia whispered. "I kept thinking about what I asked you." Evelyn stiffened. "Don't think about that today. Today is yours." Amelia's lips trembled. "Do you know the worst part? It isn't betrayal. It's silence from the ones you love most." Evelyn's throat burned. But before she could speak, the wedding planner burst in, urging Amelia forward. The moment was gone. The aisle glittered beneath chandeliers. Hundreds of guests rose as Amelia glided in, her gown trailing behind. Nate waited at the altar, tall and striking in a black tuxedo. Evelyn held Lily's hand, heart pounding as they followed the crowd. Music swelled. Amelia smiled as she walked, but her hand trembled on the bouquet. Nate's eyes flicked to her, then slid to Evelyn, and then to Lily. Evelyn felt her pulse stop. The officiant began, solemn words filling the air. Amelia's smile faltered, and then it came Nate's vow. He took the microphone, pausing, scanning the crowd. Silence gripped the hall. "Amelia," his voice rang steady, "you are a good woman. You deserve a whole love." Murmurs stilled. He drew a breath. "But today, standing here, I can't pretend. I can't make vows my heart won't keep." A ripple of shock swept through the guests. Amelia's face drained of color. "Nate," she whispered. Evelyn clutched Lily's hand, her daughter whispering, "Mommy, what's he doing?" Nate looked at Amelia one last time, then lowered his gaze to Lily, eyes softened with unmistakable tenderness. "I'm sorry, Amelia. I can't marry you." Because my heart has belonged elsewhere for a very long time. The hall erupted, gasps, whispers, cameras flashing. Amelia's bouquet slipped from her hand, scattering roses across the floor. Evelyn stood frozen, blood rushing from her face. Nate had done it, he had spoken, and the price was devastation. Amelia turned, eyes blazing with betrayal and pain. Her voice cracked, raw. "It's true. You're the one he's chosen." Evelyn opened her mouth. No sound came. Beside her, Lily clung tighter, her wide eyes confused but sensing the storm breaking loose. And in that moment, everything Evelyn had fought to keep hidden shattered, irretrievable. The hall froze as if an explosion had just ripped through it. Murmurs ignited like wildfire. Phones flashed. Some guests gasped aloud while others began recording. Amelia stood at the center of the aisle, her once glorious gown now a weight dragging her down. The bouquet lay crushed beneath the golden lights, petals broken like her breath. Her body trembled, yet her eyes were sharp as blades, fixed on her sister, Evelyn. Her voice cracked, but carried across the hall. "You knew. From the start. You knew, didn't you?" Hundreds of eyes pressed down like stone. Lily's small hand clutched Evelyn's tighter, desperate and afraid. Evelyn opened her mouth, but her throat was sand. Only 2 words emerged. "Amelia." Nate stepped forward, his voice cutting through. "It's my fault. Amelia, you don't deserve this humiliation. But if I stay silent, I betray everyone. You, Evelyn, and Lily." The name struck like lightning. Lily. The crowd erupted. Whispers surged into waves. "Lily? That child? What does he mean?" Amelia turned, her gaze landing on Lily, clutching her mother and wide-eyed with fear. In that instant, the truth lit the room like fire. "No." Amelia shook her head, tears spilling. "No, it can't be. The child. She's—" Evelyn had no escape. She pressed Lily to her chest, voice trembling. "Yes, Lily is mine. And Nate's." Chaos crashed. Some guests fled. Some raised their phones, and others hissed and speculated. The whispers were knives. Amelia staggered, a bridesmaid reaching for her, but she shoved the hand away. Her eyes blazed, burning through Evelyn. "All these years, you kept it from me? You let me fall in love with him, plan a wedding with him while he was the father of your child." Evelyn's tears streamed. "Amelia, I never wanted this. I never wanted." "Never wanted?" Amelia's laugh was sharp, broken. "If you didn't, you'd have told me from the start. You'd have stopped me. But you stayed silent. You let me step into this pit." The air thickened. Nate reached toward her. "Amelia, don't blame her alone. I left. I abandoned them. If anyone is to blame, it's me." She slapped his hand away. "Stop. Do you think sorry matters? You turned my wedding into a public circus. My name, my family, my life ruined." Her voice cracked into a sob, fury and heartbreak tangled in her eyes. Guests drifted toward the exits, unwilling to stay in the storm, but phones remained raised. Evelyn knew. By tomorrow, this would flood every headline. Someone from Amelia's side rushed forward, speaking over the noise. "Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony must be paused." But no one heard. The chaos drowned everything. Amelia spun, her gown sweeping the floor as she fled the aisle. Evelyn started to follow, but Lily clung to her dress. "Mom, don't go. I'm scared." Nate stood frozen, shoulders heavy with guilt. Evelyn pulled Lily close, eyes wet. The family had cracked, torn open. The doors slammed behind Amelia. A wedding of grandeur had collapsed into ruins. Outside, Amelia stumbled into the garden, her dress snagging, her mascara-streaked face a portrait of devastation. Hotel staff stepped aside. Guests stared with pity and gossip in their eyes. Evelyn came after her, heart hammering. Lily left in Nate's arms. "Amelia," she whispered. Her sister whipped around, eyes red and blazing. "Don't come closer." Evelyn froze, pain tearing through her. "I'm sorry. I never wanted this." Amelia laughed bitterly, voice jagged. "Never wanted? Then what did you do to stop it? Did you ever once think about me? Or was it always you and his child? No, Evelyn's sob broke free. Everything I did was to protect you. I stayed silent for years so you wouldn't be hurt. Silence is betrayal. Amelia's scream shook with grief. You let me live in a lie. You let me dream only for everything to shatter in front of hundreds of people. You made me a fool. Evelyn stepped closer, tears streaming. I would rather bear shame, rather carry it alone, than let you face the truth. I never thought it would unravel like this. Amelia buried her face in her hands, shoulders racked. Between sobs, her voice barely carried the worst pain. It isn't Nate leaving me. It's you, the one I trusted most, being the one who kept this from me. Evelyn dropped to her knees, eyes pleading. Amelia, please believe me, I never wanted to take your happiness. I never wanted to stand between you. But Lily, she's my blood. I couldn't erase her. Amelia lifted her face, eyes drenched. And you think I can forgive you? Evelyn bit her lip until it bled. No, I don't dare ask. I only beg you to know I love you. Even now, even after I've hurt you. The garden hushed. Lavender petals fluttered down in the wind. Amelia didn't answer. She rose, adjusting her ruined gown, wiping tears with trembling fingers. I don't want to see either of you. Not now. She walked away, leaving Evelyn crumpled, shoulders shaking in silence. Nate sat in the hall's back with Lily's small head resting on his lap. She was exhausted, eyes half closed, yet her fingers curled tightly around his. Uncle Nate, she whispered drowsily. Are you? My daddy? The words pierced him, his chest clenched, but his gaze softened. He bent close, whispering, Yes, Lily, I'm your dad. Her lips curved in a sleepy smile, and she drifted off as if that answer had been her heart's secret wish. Nate kissed her curls, tears falling into her soft hair. In that moment, he swore a vow not to the crowd, not to Amelia, but to the little girl in his arms. Even if he lost everything else, he would never abandon her again. By morning, the headlines were everywhere. The wedding of the century cancelled at the altar. CEO Nate Turner walks out, reveals secret child with bride's sister. Love scandal shakes Beverly Hills elite. Photographs of Amelia collapsing in her gown. Nate stepping off the altar. Evelyn clutching Lily splashed across every screen. Comments raged like firecrackers. Pity, fury, speculation. In the rented apartment, Evelyn shut her laptop with trembling hands. She tried to mask her fear, but Lily's sharp little eyes caught it anyway. Mom, what are they saying? Nothing, sweetheart, Evelyn murmured, pulling her close. Just noisy adult things. Is it because of Aunt Amelia's wedding? Silence. And silence was its own answer. Lily buried her face in her mother's chest. I only need you. And, Daddy. The word sliced Evelyn's heart open. Lily spoke it so naturally, as if the truth had been waiting all along. The secret she had fought to protect was now ash. Meanwhile, Amelia shut herself away, refusing calls, food, even the knock of their mother. Her gown lay crumpled and stained, a cruel relic of what should have been. Amelia, at least eat something, their mother pleaded through the door. Go away. Her hoarse scream cracked with too many tears. She hurled her vanity mirror to the floor. Glass shattered, scattering fragments that reflected 100 broken versions of herself. The Amelia who had believed in love, in patience, in the fairy tale of a wedding, all gone, reduced to wreckage. Collapsing to the floor, she sobbed, whispering to the void, Why, Evelyn? Why did it have to be you? Across the city, Nate faced his own reckoning. The Turner Group's boardroom was ablaze with anger. Do you realize the damage? An old shareholder roared. Our stock plummeted 12% overnight. Clients are pulling contracts. Another spat. Nate sat still, dark circles beneath his eyes, absorbing their fury. At last, he spoke with calm finality. I'll resign. The company needs a leader untouched by scandal. I've lost that right. The room exploded, some voices protesting, others agreeing, but Nate knew. His decision was final. Hours later, alone in his glass tower, he stared at the glittering city. Lily's bewildered gaze, Evelyn's tears, and Amelia's broken face lingered in his mind. "If I lose everything," he whispered, "then let me at least hold on to the only thing that matters, my real family." That night, Evelyn's phone buzzed. "I've resigned. I want to see you both. Not to explain, just to be there. Nate." She froze, pulse racing. Part of her wanted to throw the phone away, to bolt the door against the man who had upended her life. But another part remembered his voice reading to Lily, how her daughter's face lit up when she whispered, "Daddy." Evelyn leaned back in her chair, eyes closed. The world outside was a storm of gossip and judgment, but in this small apartment, her choice would shape her daughter's future. She could no longer live only for her own fear. Rain fell heavily that night, drumming on the windows. Evelyn sat quietly, the glow of Nate's message burning on her screen. Memories tangled the nights of youth, waiting in her dorm for his text, the ache of his absence, the impossible warmth of his return. Lily slept soundly, clutching her frayed teddy bear. Evelyn sat rigid in the living room, the words "I want to see you both" carved into her chest, and then knocks at the door. Her breath caught. She opened it. Nate stood there, rain-soaked, hair disheveled, eyes burning brighter than any streetlight. "I couldn't wait," he said, voice low, raw. "I've lost everything else. But if there's a chance I can keep you and Lily, I can't stand still." Evelyn turned away, gripping the doorframe. "You think words can undo years? You think I can forget giving birth alone? Forget every time she asked where her father was, while I smiled through the ache?" Nate flinched, eyes shining with guilt. "I don't ask you to forget. I only ask you to let me try. I don't want to be a hero. I want to be Lily's father. And if you'll let me, the man beside you." The rain filled the silence. Evelyn faced him, voice trembling. "If I open this door, you promise me one thing. You don't leave again. Not when it's hard. Not when it hurts." He nodded, without hesitation. "I swear. I'll stay. Not in words, but in every small day after this." Slowly, she opened the door wider. The light of the apartment spilled over his tired, resolute face. "Come in," she whispered. Nate stepped inside, as though crossing from storm into refuge. His eyes lingered on the closed door of Lily's room. "She's asleep," Evelyn murmured. He nodded. "Then I'll wait, so that when she wakes tomorrow, I can be the first to tell her good morning." Evelyn sank onto the sofa, weary. "I don't need speeches, Nate. I need presence. If you can give me that, maybe there's hope." He sat across from her, careful not to push closer. "Then I'll prove it by staying even in silence." They remained there, rain tapping the glass, the air softened by unspoken promises. In her room, Lily stirred in her dreams, smiling faintly. She didn't know the world had shifted forever, not by scandal or a wedding gone wrong, but by her mother's quiet choice and her father's steadfast return. Evelyn gazed out at the rain, whispering to herself, "This may be a beginning, but only if we learn how to mend the broken pieces together." At dawn, soft sunlight filtered through the curtains, brushing a golden haze over the small apartment. Evelyn woke earlier than usual. She stepped into the living room and froze. Nate was asleep on the sofa, still in yesterday's clothes, shirt creased and faintly damp from last night's rain. His head lolled against the cushion, hand loosely clutching a colored pencil Lily had left on the table. Before him lay a sheet of paper, a child's drawing of 3 figures, holding hands, a family. Evelyn stared, her defenses cracking a little more. He wasn't the CEO everyone revered, nor the man who had once walked away. He was just a tired father, fumbling his way back, learning to stay. The bedroom door creaked open. Lily, hair tousled, eyes half closed, toddled out. Spotting Nate, she giggled, climbed onto the couch, and whispered, "Daddy, wake up." Nate blinked awake, startled, then smiled, eyes lighting up when he saw her. "Good morning, Lily." She threw her arms around his neck. No hesitation. "You really slept here?" "Yes," he said, stroking her curls, "because I promised you I'll be here when you wake up." From the kitchen doorway, Evelyn watched, her heart tightening then softening. She turned away, busying herself with breakfast so her emotions wouldn't spill. The The smell of pancakes filled the apartment. Evelyn whisked batter quietly while Nate and Lily debated the eternal question. Strawberry syrup or honey? Strawberry is better, Lily declared. I say, honey, Nate countered, grinning. Fine, Mommy and I will eat strawberries. You can eat honey all by yourself. Lily burst into laughter. Evelyn brought plates to the table, pretending indifference, though the faint curve of her lips betrayed her. This just breakfast, just 3 people at a table, was the life she had once dreamed of in lonely nights. After the meal, Nate insisted on washing dishes. Evelyn tried to protest, but he only said, "You've done enough, let me." Water ran. Lily colored at the table, occasionally holding her masterpieces for applause. Evelyn glanced around the tiny apartment. Somehow, it felt larger, brighter, filled by a presence she had long denied. That afternoon, Nate suggested gently, "Let me take you both somewhere, just the park nearby." Evelyn hesitated, wary of prying eyes, of whispers. But Lily's eager expression dissolved her resistance. The park was quiet, shaded by maples shedding golden leaves. Lily darted ahead with a pink balloon, laughter echoing. Nate and Evelyn walked behind, side by side. "You're angry I told the truth that day," Nate said softly. Evelyn kept her gaze on the leaf-strewn path. "I'm angry at how you did it. Brutal, public. But part of me knows if that moment hadn't come, we would have lived in lies forever." Nate sighed. "I've lost my touch for calculations. All I knew was if I stayed silent, I'd lose you again. And this time, I didn't have the strength." Wind tugged her hair across her face, brushing toward him. He wanted to reach, to tuck it back, but held himself still. Ahead, Lily turned, calling, "Mommy, Daddy, hurry." They both stopped. For the first time, they heard her call them together. The words stitched warmth into their chests, fragile but real. By sunset, honey-colored light bathed the park. Lily chased butterflies, balloon bobbing at her wrist. Evelyn and Nate sat on a bench, watching from a distance. Nate spoke first, voice quiet. "I never thought I'd have this, sitting here, next to you, watching her laugh. It's nothing like the life I imagined success would look like." Evelyn glanced at him, calm on the surface, though her heart stirred. "You had everything, Nate. Power, wealth, prestige. All I had was Lily, and I chose her knowing it meant losing everything else." His eyes locked on hers. "And that made you stronger than I ever was. You chose the harder kind of love I ran from." She gave a bitter smile. "Don't paint me a hero. I cried through too many nights. I once wished I could be weak enough to give up. But every time I looked at her, I had no choice." Nate lifted his hand, nearly reaching for hers, but stopped midway. "I'm asking for a chance, not to erase the past, but to help carry what's left. To be here, in the small things, every day." Evelyn turned away, eyes fixed on Lily's bright laughter. "Chances aren't so easy to give, especially after you turned my sister's wedding into a ruin. Do you even think about Amelia's wound?" He bowed his head, breath heavy. "I do, and because of that, I know I can't run. I'll carry responsibility, even if she never forgives me. I only ask you, let me prove myself to our daughter." Long silence. The breeze carried the scent of damp leaves and cotton candy from a distant cart. At last, Evelyn whispered, "I can't promise you anything, but I'll let Lily decide. If she needs you, I won't stand in the way." Hope lit his eyes, faint but steady as if a lighthouse pierced through fog. On the ride home, Lily sat between them in the back seat, one hand in each of theirs. She chattered about blue butterflies outrunning yellow ones, about maple trees looking like giant gowns. Evelyn and Nate listened, occasionally meeting eyes in the mirror, gazes filled with unease, guilt, and a fragile ember of hope. Lily pulled out an old board game at the apartment, insisting the 3 of them play. Evelyn started to refuse, but Nate was already on the floor, rolling dice with exaggerated flair. "Daddy lost," Lily squealed as her piece reached home first. "Only because I let you win," Nate teased, eyes glowing with pride. "No, I really won," she declared, tiny fists on her hips so much like Evelyn it made them all laugh. By 9, Evelyn coaxed her to bed. But Lily, wide-eyed, pleaded. "Daddy, read to me again." Evelyn hesitated, then nodded. Nate sat at the edge of the bed, reading slowly, voice deep and warm. Lily's eyes fluttered shut, lips curved in a smile as she drifted into dreams. Evelyn stood in the doorway, chest swelling with emotions too tangled to name. For years, she had shouldered everything alone, and now here it was, the family she had thought lost forever, simple and heartbreakingly honest. Later, Evelyn stepped onto the balcony, the city shimmering below like spilled starlight. Nate joined her, draping a light jacket over his shoulders. "Thank you," he said softly. "For what?" she asked, gaze distant. "For giving me this place. For not shutting the door." She turned, meeting his eyes. She saw no arrogance there for the first time in years, only earnestness. "Don't thank me yet," she whispered. "The road ahead is long. I don't know how far we can go." He nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I don't need to know how far. I only need to know that tonight, I'm here, with you, with her." Evelyn leaned against the railing, night wind brushing her hair. Something frozen in her heart began to thaw, melting by degrees. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was a beginning. The headlines hadn't even cooled from the wrecked wedding before the tabloids focused on Evelyn. Grainy photos surfaced, her and Lily leaving the park with Nate, the three entering her small apartment. Sensational titles screamed, "The woman who ruined the wedding. Who is Evelyn Carter? The bride's sister, 7 years of secrets, and a hidden child." Nate Turner, from million-dollar CEO to a man begging for his ex. Evelyn scrolled through her phone, stomach heavy. Her quiet years of raising Lily in peace were gone, shredded under flashbulbs and rumors. Neighbors whispered. Parents at Lily's school eyed her with suspicion. That afternoon, when Evelyn came to pick Lily up, she saw her daughter standing alone by the playground, head bowed. 2 classmates whispered nearby, pointing, "She's the girl without a dad." "No, she has one now." But he dumped her aunt to be with her mom. Lily's lips pressed tight, eyes welling. Evelyn rushed over, took her hand, and led her away. In the car, Lily's voice cracked. "Mom, did I do something wrong? I told them my daddy's here, but they laughed. They said he'll leave again." Evelyn pulled her close, throat aching. She had no answer. That night, Nate arrived at the apartment. He found mother and daughter sitting silently in the living room. No music or television, just heaviness. "What happened?" he asked softly. Lily looked up, eyes rimmed red. "They said, you'll leave again. Is it true?" The question froze him. Slowly, he knelt before her, holding her small hand. "No, Lily. I left once, and it was the worst mistake of my life. But I'll never leave again. Not even if the whole world says I will." Her eyes shone, trembling. "Promise?" "I promise," Nate said, pressing his hand to his chest. "With all of my heart." Evelyn stood nearby, torn. A part of her wanted to believe. Another part flinched at the echo of past promises. But when she saw Lily wrap her arms around Nate's neck, clinging with radiant trust, she knew her daughter needed that belief to grow. The next day, Amelia appeared at Evelyn's door. Evelyn froze when she saw her sister, pale and hollow-eyed beneath a long coat. "Amelia." Without waiting, Amelia stepped inside. Her eyes were cold fire. "So this is it? You keep him, keep the child, and leave me to be the laughingstock?" Evelyn's hands clenched. "I never wanted a battle, but Nate is Lily's father. She needs him." Amelia's laugh was sharp, bitter. "And what about me? Didn't I need someone to stay, to love me? But everything I had you took." "No, Amelia." Evelyn's voice cracked. "Love isn't stolen. Nate never truly belonged to you, no matter how much you tried to believe." Amelia froze, tears welling. "I waited for him. I believed every promise. And then what? You appear, and he abandons me in front of the world. Don't you dare tell me that's not theft." The air snapped taut. From the hallway, Lily peeked out, eyes wide. Evelyn shielded her quickly. "Amelia, not in front of her. If you're angry, be angry at me alone." Her sister's voice broke, tears spilling. "One day, he'll leave you too. And when he does, You'll know what it feels like to lose everything." The door slammed. Evelyn stood frozen, another crack splitting through her heart. That evening, Nate returned late. Evelyn recounted the confrontation. He sat silent for a long time, then said, "I'll see Amelia. She deserves a direct apology, not to win her back, but so she can move forward." Evelyn's eyes held both worry and reluctant hope. "Are you sure? She's raw. Your words might only make it worse." "I'm sure," he answered steadily. "I can't build anything new while leaving broken pieces behind." Evelyn turned to the window, his reflection caught in the glass. No longer a cold CEO, just a man trying, however late, to do right. A quiet fear stirred in her chest. Could their fragile family withstand the storm if Amelia refused to let go? 2 days later, Nate met Amelia at a quiet cafe in West Hollywood. Hidden behind trees, it was free from paparazzi and noise. Just soft jazz and the smell of roasted beans. Amelia arrived thinner, her fire undimmed. She sat opposite without greeting. "What do you want?" "To remind me again that I was a mistake." Nate met her eyes, unflinching. "I came to apologize, and to tell you the truth. I never loved you the way you deserved." Her laugh was brittle, laced with tears. "You think I didn't know? I saw it every time you looked at me. It was never how you looked at her. I kept hoping patience and kindness would win you, but I was only lying to myself." "You're not a mistake," Nate said slowly. "You're extraordinary. My failure was dishonesty. I let you hope, while my heart was elsewhere. I was a coward." Amelia's eyes glistened, but she swallowed the tears. "So what now? You want me to forgive? To smile as you build a family with my sister?" "No, I don't expect forgiveness," Nate said firmly. "I only want you free. You deserve someone who chooses you completely, without hesitation." "That was never me, and I won't lie again." Amelia's hands tightened around her cup. "At last," she whispered, "the deepest wound wasn't losing you. I was losing trust in my sister. I blamed her for stealing happiness. But now, I see she was only protecting her child. I was the one clinging to what was never mine." Relief flickered in Nate's eyes, mixed with regret. "Thank you for saying that. I hope you'll find the love you deserve." She stood, brushing tears from her face. "Don't expect me at another wedding, but I won't stand in your way. Take care of her. Of Lily, if you hurt them again, Nate, I'll never forgive you." "I understand," he said quietly. She left. The door closed behind her, marking the end of a chapter. That night, Nate returned to Evelyn's apartment. Lily raced into his arms, chattering about school. Evelyn lingered in the doorway, watchful. "You saw Amelia?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes, she's angry, but she won't fight us anymore. I think things are finally calming." Evelyn exhaled, tension easing, yet her eyes still searched him. "Can you endure the storms still coming? The media hasn't let go. Your career—" He stepped closer, taking her hand for the first time in years. "I don't want a career without family. If I have to choose, I choose you and Lily. Every time. No hesitation." Her eyes wavered. She didn't pull away, though she didn't tighten either. "Don't prove it with words. Prove it with days." "I will," he promised. Slow, steady. From inside the room, Lily's childish song floated out, sweet and clear, like a balm on raw wounds. Evelyn and Nate exchanged a look uncertain, tender, resolute. They would try again, not for the past, for the present, for the child who sang. Later, when Evelyn checked on Lily, the little girl was fast asleep, with a teddy bear in her arms. Beside her pillow lay a drawing, 3 figures beneath a starry sky. Above them, in shaky letters, Lily had written, "My real family." Evelyn sank onto the bed, tears falling silently. She knew the storm wasn't over, but this time they wouldn't face it alone. Autumn settled over Los Angeles, painting the streets in shades of golden-red maple leaves. After the scandal, the media had long moved on to newer stories. But for Evelyn, life now carried a different rhythm, slower, gentler, yet filled with challenges. Nate had rented a small apartment just a few blocks from Lily's school. He didn't barge in with grand promises or force himself into every moment. Instead, he appeared at the correct times, in the mornings before school, afternoons at ballet class, and evenings when Lily needed someone to read her stories. Evelyn watched quietly, noting every small action. One morning, as she stepped outside with Lily, Nate was already waiting. In his hands, a steaming cup of coffee and a small box of muffins. "For you," he said, holding it out. Evelyn frowned slightly. "You don't have to do this every day." "I know." Nate smiled. "But I want to. I want a muffin too." Lily chimed in eagerly. He crouched down and handed her one. "One for Mom, one for you. Fair and square." Evelyn took the coffee with a sigh. She didn't want to let herself soften too easily, but the warm aroma in the crisp morning air made her heart stumble for just a beat. That night, after Lily had fallen asleep, Evelyn opened her old notebook. She wrote, "He no longer promises with pretty words. Only by showing up on time, listening, and having a coffee. Am I letting myself weaken too soon?" She put the pen down and leaned back. Amelia's image appeared in her mind, still distant, still unforgiving. But Evelyn also knew, if she kept living in the past, she'd never find the courage to move forward. That weekend, Lily's school hosted a small fair. Evelyn almost refused to join, but Lily begged, and Nate offered, "I'll handle carrying and cleaning. You and Lily pick the treats." So they ended up with a cookie stand. Seeing the three of them bustling in the kitchen made Evelyn pause. It looked like a normal family, untouched by broken history. On the fair day, Lily beamed in her floral dress as she invited customers. Nate lifted her onto his shoulders when her legs grew tired, while Evelyn handled the money. A few parents threw suggestive comments, but Nate only smiled, answering with calm confidence, "My family is learning how to stand together again." Evelyn heard it, and her chest trembled. It had been so long since anyone had spoken the words "my family" with such certainty. That night, Evelyn stepped onto the balcony. Nate followed with a cup of ginger tea. "I know people still look at us differently," he said, "but I don't care anymore. The only thing I care about is Lily waking up each morning to see her mum and dad there. And you don't have to carry everything alone." Evelyn stayed silent, her hands warming around the teacup. His words weren't dramatic, but they touched the deepest place she kept hidden. "Are you sure you won't walk away again?" she whispered. Nate turned, his gaze steady. "I won't. Because this time, I have nothing left to lose except you and our daughter." Evelyn looked out over the glowing city lights, autumn winds brushing her hair. She didn't answer, but inside her, a fragile seed of trust quietly rooted itself. Winter arrived, and Los Angeles wore a veil of morning mist. Evelyn walked down the street with Lily, the little girl's hands tucked deep into her puffy coat, chattering about the upcoming Christmas play at school. Nate walked beside them, carrying a small bag of props Lily needed. Everything seemed ordinary, yet each step etched itself into Evelyn's memory. After 7 years of carrying everything alone, another hand was ready to hold hers when needed. That evening, Evelyn found an envelope in the mailbox. No sender's name, just the words, "For Evelyn and Lily." She opened it. Inside was a handwritten card. "We've had enough of separation, enough of pain. It's time to rewrite our story. No grand aisle, no flashing cameras, just the sky, the white sand, and the three of us. Let Lily lead the way." Beneath it, Lily's messy handwriting added, "Mommy, I want to be the flower girl." Evelyn laughed through tears. Behind her, Nate placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "I don't want pressure. I don't need a wedding to prove anything. But I want Lily to have a real family. And if you'll say yes, just the three of us, in the desert, will be enough." She turned to face him. His eyes no longer carried arrogance or haste, only steadiness and a quiet certainty. She didn't answer immediately, but when Lily burst in holding a tiny flower basket, her eyes glowing, Evelyn knew her heart had already chosen. That day, they stood on a quiet stretch of sand in Joshua Tree. The sunset painted the horizon in fire red, the wind soft and cool. Evelyn wore a simple, unadorned ivory dress. In a floral frock, she walked ahead, scattering rose petals from her basket. Nate waited in a plain white shirt, holding a bouquet of lavender, Evelyn's favorite. His eyes never left her, from her first step until only heartbeats separated them. "No guests, no diamond rings," Nate said, his voice unsteady but firm. "Only the truth. Evelyn, you may never forgive me completely, but I swear I'll never leave again. Not ever." Evelyn smiled through tears. "I don't need eternal promises. I need to see you here, day after day. If you can do that, that's everything." Lily squeezed herself between them, tilting her head up. "So, did Mommy say yes yet?" They both laughed. Evelyn kissed her daughter's forehead, then whispered, "Yes." Nate clasped her hand, their foreheads touching. No music, no vows, just desert winds and a child's laughter as witnesses. That night, they sat by a small fire, Lily asleep in her mother's arms. Nate draped a jacket over Evelyn's shoulders, murmuring, "Let's start over." "Not like before, better." Evelyn leaned into him, eyes lifted to the star-filled sky. There was no fear ahead for the first time in years, only peace. By the following spring, the small apartment where Evelyn once lived alone had been replaced by a warm home in Pasadena. It was not grand, not luxurious, but it had a little garden of lavender and bougainvillea, a kitchen big enough for three to cook together, and a living room wall covered in Lily's drawings. One morning, Evelyn opened the balcony door to the scent of fresh flowers. Down below, Nate was helping Lily tie her shoelaces. "Cross, then loop," he instructed patiently. "I can do it myself." Lily puffed her cheeks. Nate let her try, and to their surprise, she tied her first perfect knot. Both cheered, hugging tight. Evelyn watched from above, heart swelling so full it hurt. 7 lonely years had passed. Now, these small moments were her reward. At Lily's spring open house, Evelyn was used to going alone, but when she entered the hall, Nate was already waiting. 2 cups of coffee in hand, handing her one as if it were a habit. Parents whispered, eyes lingered, but Nate didn't flinch. When the teacher called for Lily's parents, both of them stood. "We're here," Nate said, taking Lily's hand before glancing at Evelyn. "We are Lily's family." The words sent a shiver through Evelyn. Not of fear, but because they rang with a certainty she'd never dared dream. That night, they dined on the porch. Nate poured Evelyn wine while Lily drank strawberry milk, chattering about her new dream. "I want to be a writer. I'll write a story about a family who learns to love slowly but for a long time." Evelyn smiled, brushing her daughter's curls. "Then you'll have plenty to observe. Look, every day, our family is living that story." Under the table, Nate's hand brushed hers. This time, she didn't pull away. A year later, on Evelyn's birthday, there was no grand party. Just Nate and Lily are preparing a small dinner. A cake, lavender flowers, and a handmade leather-bound book lay on the table. "This is from us," Lily beamed. "I wrote the story, Daddy made the book." Evelyn opened it. On the first page, in Lily's childlike handwriting, "Once upon a time, a princess lived in a lonely tower. The prince didn't return at first, but learned to climb up with his hands one day. And the princess opened the door, because their little girl said, 'Mommy, Daddy, we deserve a different ending.'" Tears blurred Evelyn's vision. Nate said nothing, only reached across the table and held her hand. That night, with Lily asleep, Evelyn and Nate sat outside beneath a sky scattered with stars. Evelyn leaned her head on his shoulder, whispering, "We've come too far ever to go back, but maybe this is where we were always meant to be." Nate wrapped an arm around her. "I don't need another beginning. I need every next day with you, and with her." Evelyn smiled no longer with sorrow, but with peace. And beneath the quiet sky, a family had truly been born in that little house. Not perfect, not dazzling, but real, and in that truth lay eternity.